Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Sylvester Inspires Belief Cast. Once again, thank you for joining us. This is going to be an amazing podcast today. You guys are going to love my guest today. Her name's Jill Kesler. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm so honored that you would include me in such an incredible program, and what you're doing is powerful. So thank you.
Absolutely. Well, you're welcome, but it's our honor, and our listeners are going to have such a treat today. I want to thank our sponsor, Veracity Networks. Thank you for believing in me. And then again to you listeners for taking the time to hopefully edify your day with these amazing belief casts that we hear and we present. And you're going to love Jill's story. Jill is the owner of Create Bliss Art School, and we're going to get into that, and you're going to love what she does there. And she talks about how everything kind of magically came together in her life based on some things that you have gone through, some really difficult times. She's a cancer survivor. She's the mother of 3 amazing kids. She just lives her life with passion. She's a light to this world, and we are so blessed to have her here. And so welcome once again.
Perfect. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about where you grew up. I know we both grew up in the Brighton High, Cottonwood Heights area.
Yes, we are Bengals.
Bengals. So tell us a little bit about that and about your family and about, your mom and dad.
Grew up in this beautiful Cottonwood Heights area with the mountains and just an amazing community. Went to Brighton High School and then went on to University of Utah, where I got my BFA in painting and drawing. And after that, on to Pepperdine, where I got a master's in education.
Pepperdine, but that's you always hear that that's such an amazing place.
Amazing, such a cool chapter. Yeah,
I can imagine.
Lucky to have that as part of my journey. Had an amazing family situation. My mom and dad, and an older brother Matt, a younger sister Emily, and I can't think of a single complaint about growing up. It was a very close family, full of so much love and warmth, and they believed in me and allowed me to be who I was. And just a really cool way to grow up. And I have so much gratitude for each of my family members.
Sure.
And we're still close, and my parents for always believing in me. My mom was, if you look carefully with the right glasses on, you'll see her wings. She's a fairy.
Yeah.
She lived hiking and would take us all in the mountains, and I think that's where she was most comfortable, because she was around her fellow magical fairies that were surrounding the plants and animals. I say that in jest, but truly she's the most magical, creative person that would just, anything she touches sparkles and turns to a party or some sort of celebration. Or the summer solstice, she had a fairy party where she invited her friends and their daughters to come.
Really?
That's
awesome.
We would hold hands and have ribbons and sing, and she made miniature sandwiches. I mean, everything she touched was magical. So how lucky for me to grow up in a house like that. There was a lot of play, a lot of laughter.
How does someone do that? I mean, that's amazing. If you think about it, like someone living their life like that.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Did she get that from her parents? I mean, do you know? I mean,
I think
obviously that's all you
come.
knew, but
I think we come who we are.
Right.
And I'm lucky enough to comes to my art studio.
I bet.
And works with the kids, and we kind of do it together, and she's an assistant, I learn from her, so I call her that, but she's really in there with me, and the kids just love her, and if she's not there, they say, where is she? She's an amazing connector, and if you ask me, that's why we're on this planet, is to connect with people and others. And so she lives her life with an open heart, and she's always available to new people, new friendships, new ideas. Yeah, she's powerful, very powerful. And anybody who meets her will say that. She's an amazing person. So lucky me. Yeah. I just think, how can I be half the mom that she was? Sure. She was so present and so invested. Well,
I'm sure she would say that you are an amazing mom. And I love what you just said there a minute ago. And we're going to get more into that about the connection piece. We're here to connect, like you said. And, in my business, addiction is the opposite of connection.
Yes.
You know, because when we're addicted to something and we're kind of, in a sense, blowing up our lives, which we really are, we have severed any connection, or if there is a connection, it's usually an unhealthy one.
Yep.
And so I couldn't agree with you more. When you feel connected, man, it's like you feel like you're on fire.
Yeah.
You know?
And you've got to start. Connection starts with self. You need to connect with yourself.
Yeah.
And
love that.
We all have that creator inside of us. I saw a interview with Rainn Willis. Did I say that right? Anyway, the Dwight on Office.
Oh yeah.
And he said, when we are creating, we are most like our creator. And that really rings true for me. And it's kind of the mantra of my Create Bliss art school. Those words are not by accident.
Right.
And we each are born with that piece inside of us, the ability to create, the need to create. And when we tap into that and we align with that, we are finding our higher self. And on my website, you'll see when we are creating, we are in our highest form of being.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that. And as soon as we tap into that, the answers come, the flow comes. And if we can, and we all have that. And as adults, we forget to talk to our higher self or our inner creator. I do an adult class where adults are so quick to say, I can't do this. I don't do art. I can't blah, blah, blah. And the truth is we all can. We just need to start and open that up.
Whereas most as kids are like, yeah, let's do it. I can do it. They don't even doubt. Yeah. It's amazing how we we forget that as we get older.
Yeah.
You know?
But too, while we are in the process of connecting there, that's where the healing happens too. That's when our stress levels slow down and our the cortisol levels. I mean, they've measured it, your blood pressure, your heart rate, everything calms down. And here, pharmaceuticals spends billions of dollars trying to find a magic pill to lower stress levels, and we all possess it. It's in us.
Ooh.
So,
wow, did you hear that, listeners? Man, that is powerful. I got goosebumps when you just said that, man. And I couldn't agree more. We have everything we need if we really will just tap into it and recognize that it's there.
And I try to give my students that language, and I talk about energy and how do you feel while we are creating. I don't care what goes on the wall. I don't care if you have something to put in a frame. What happens in that period when you're taking part of the process? The process is where the healing happens. Right. And so I remember teaching several years ago, 15 years ago, in a second grade class, and paint everywhere. I'm sweating. There's kids everywhere. And I kind of, anyway, some kid says, this just feels so good. And I stopped him and I said, hey, this feels good. And remember that. That's a tool that is always in your belt. You can always come back to a Sharpie in your hand or a pencil or a paintbrush, and life will hand you stresses. Life will give it to you. Yeah. What are you going to do to cope with that? And so that's big. Every student in my school will hear that many times is this is a tool. Yeah. And you can always come back to that.
That's amazing. Well, I know I want to talk a little bit about your parents, because I know, we've talked obviously off the mic here a little bit about how you look at them as your heroes. Obviously you've been mentioning your mom and just how she lives her life. Just a magical, right? Talk a little bit about your parents and why are they your hero?
My dad always told me, hey, Jill, be really careful about what you believe, because it will dictate your every move. And to learn that from a young age was powerful, because it really does. What you believe will dictate your life. Yeah. So dang,
I love that.
Yeah. In fact, I had a time, 2014, we lived in San Clemente, California. It's kind of my last ditch effort to try to save my marriage, and it was hard. It was a pretty dark, hard year. And I discovered Byron Katie, and she really helped me analyze my thoughts, and that I could change my thoughts. And through changing my thoughts, could change an emotion and could allow me. She had a book, Loving What Is. I probably listened to it 20 times over and over on Audibles, story after story, just listening to people challenge their thoughts and watch the stresses really melt away as you change your thoughts about it. So that goes in line with my dad, and that is, be careful what you believe, be careful what you think, be careful how you think.
Right.
And he always gave me permission to be me. And so often as a parent, we think we know what's best for our kid. Hey, here's your direction, or here's what you should do, or and my parents both believed in education. It was a very important thing. We took our schools seriously. They were involved in our schooling. When it came time to go to college, I sat down. I'll never forget, this was a pivotal point in my life. He said, well, what do you think you'll study? What direction are you going to take at the University of Utah? And I was a good student. I loved math. I was good in the sciences. I'd taken the AP classes. I was going to school on a full ride scholarship. And so I'm like, I started out as a math major, and I was kind of charged, like, okay, you know, what's going to make me a lot of money, Dad? And he said, Jill, you're asking the wrong questions. He said, what makes you happy? And I go, I said, well, that's easy. Art makes me happy.
Right.
But I always saw that as a hobby or something I did after my schoolwork or after my studies. And that was a way that I could relax. And I said, well, yeah, it's art. And he said, then you need to do that, because you pick your passion and then everything else will come into line. So he gave me permission to go lock myself up in a dark room for 4 years and study with the most brilliant professors, and to study light, and to learn how to paint. And
that's awesome.
And it's through those 4 years that I really connected with my higher self. I really connected with that inner creator, and it's how I live my life. It taught me how to live my life, and that is with an open heart and open eyes, and the world is sparkly and amazing when you learn to see. So how cool to take 4 years and
for sure
learn to look at something, even a stick. I remember being at a summer solstice art class. That's what they called it. We did it over the solstice. We went for 8 days or something, and down the La Salles and Moab, and the professors came with us, and we just paint all day, every day. And at night we would look at slides and talk about art. And I mean, you were so into it that you dreamt about it. It just, like, you became totally at one with painting. And so cool. And I remember being in kind of a desert area, and we were working with charcoal, and I found some stick, like this old dead stick. And I started painting it or drawing it and sketching it, and 2 hours went by, and I'm still into this dead stick that you would never think had any power. Right. And something came so alive in me in connecting to this dead stick. It's so weird, but it sparked something in me. And when we were having a discussion, you know, we put our stuff up, and Tony Smith, he was just amazing, my professor, and he said, "Whoa, Jill, looks to me like you were dancing on this one." And I started crying, and I said, "Yeah, that's what happened." But that was dancing from the inside. And how cool that God's gift, as simple as a dead stick, could connect to me and speak to me.
Is that when you started really recognizing the power of connection? Or I
think I've always known that, but with people for sure. Yeah. But also in nature, and also in the quiet, and in the spaces between. I remember talking to my dad. Again, I look at my dad as, he is a hero. I'll start crying when I talk about my parents, but he's the smartest guy I know, both soulfully and intellectually. He always knows, always. And so I always had him to turn to. And I remember saying, "Dad, I had this I was painting, and we were in a box trying to match color with a palette knife. And 5 hours went by. I didn't have anything to drink or to eat. And I was so immersed in this." And he said, "That's the space between, Jill. That's the space. And this life is full of so many challenges and things and stresses. And if you can carve out space and create that time to connect with that higher self, I mean, really, the stress goes away." Yeah. So how often do you take time in your day to look at color or, look at a stick. Mm-hmm. And so, it taught me a lot.
Becoming one with wherever you're at, where,
Perfect.
in that moment, right?
Yeah.
I had a client who was suffering for years and years and years of alcoholism, lost everything. His wife, the respect of his kids, his life savings, license gone, everything. And he had this experience. He was late for an appointment. And he said, sorry, I was late. I was out watching an ant pile. And he goes, Todd, is the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
There you go.
This guy's 57 years old when he has this experience, and he was 9 days sober. And he says, for 40 minutes, my suffering completely stopped.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Because he became one with the ant pile. And I share that just because what you're saying is so beautiful. But how important it is that we do carve out that time.
Yeah. Yeah, that quiet meditative time. And that also, has continued through my life, especially through cancer the last couple of years. Meditation has saved my life. And that is connecting to my body and connecting to my higher self and that inner space and that quiet. And by having that conversation, again, the healing happens. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, no, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, my parents, my family, just incredible people. And my dad, he was the guy that year in San Clemente when we had moved down there, and I didn't have connection. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have family or friends. Looking back, I realized that's exactly what I needed, is to not be distracted by anything except for me. I really just needed me. Yeah. And I needed to have that time to do the work and to talk to my inner self. And there was a lot of resolve that needed to happen there. But I had, as things were falling apart in my marriage, I would call my dad, and I had moments where I couldn't breathe. I couldn't take another step. Things were really dark. But if I could get him on the phone, just the sound of his voice would help. And he is the most positive person you've ever met, the most giving person. If he has a dime to his name, he will give you a quarter. Yeah. And so he would just talk to me. I said, Dad, can you talk me through this next breath? Dad, I can't breathe. Yeah. And he'd just stay on the phone and say, why don't you start by making a cup of coffee and let's just talk and things will be okay. Yeah. And you need to, when you think it's that future that causes anxiety and the past that causes depression. So you better be right there, dead center at your present moment. And when you feel like you can't do another day, then break that into an hour or break that into a minute. And maybe you break it into another breath. Everybody can take another breath. And he would help me through that.
Walk you through that. Wow.
Yeah. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a powerful year. And my marriage was not meant to be. It needed to unravel, and I'm at total peace with that. That's okay. And even through the process of dismantling a marriage and what felt like a family, I could learn through that Byron Katie to assess my thoughts and to let go of expectations, because that's what causes suffering. And to look at everybody and everything as, we are all exactly where we need to be at this perfect moment. And I needed Jeremy to be exactly who he was for me to be able to be who I was. So I chose gratitude for that. Like, thank you for being who you are, because it's allowing me to now become who I need to be. Yeah. And thank you for these beautiful children. There was a reason that we were together. And so I'm at peace with all of that by kind of letting go of expectations. And
no, that's good. Was that did the divorce come before you were diagnosed with cancer? So that happened before. So if you're okay, let's talk more about that time in your life, because it's pretty remarkable. And we were talking even off mic again, some of the amazing experiences that you've had because of this pain and struggle that you've gone through. So if you could share with us some of those thoughts around those two events.
Sure.
If that's what you want to call them, but if you could share your thoughts on that, it'd be great.
I do believe that pain is our greatest teacher. So when pain shows up in our life, it's our job to not let it be in vain, but rather look at it and say, hello, why are you here? And what can I learn from you? Wow. And when you ask those questions, it's the greatest teacher. And I would say divorce was harder than cancer.
Wow.
Divorce is a dismantling, and it's a tearing apart, and it's a dividing. And I felt extremely alone in that, and really wondering, it's kind of all of those things, what I thought should be or could be, and your little girl dreams of get married and live happily ever after were not happening. And so that was hard, and people don't know what to say, or people have opinions.
Yeah.
And boy, I've really learned to not have any judgment on anybody with whatever they're going through, because nobody can ever know somebody's relationship and or what their family dynamics are. And so, that was pretty difficult. That was a pretty dark time, but I also look back at it too, and my kids too. I remember Noah looking at me when we were in San Clemente, and he could just see right through me. He would look in my eyes, and it's like he looked at my soul. And I said, and I know he saw the pain. Yeah. And I felt terrible that I was causing pain on those around me. I would never wish that on anybody.
Yeah, right.
And I've been known when I'm on the trail and I see a worm crossing, and I'll stop and pick it up and put it back in the dirt, because I don't want to see a worm suffer. I really would wish no pain on anybody ever. And so to see that it was affecting my kids, and it was really a difficult time.
Right.
And I looked at Noah. I said, hey, I promise I will not always be here. I will be whole again. I promise. Be patient with me. Hold me. Let's love each other through this. We'll get through it. Yeah. And we did. And looking back, even my kids have thanked me and said, you know what, Dad is so much better where he is. And and you are so much better where you are. And, Jeremy and I are friends.
That's great.
I love his girlfriend. She's great. We're good friends. And I tell my kids, you're not broken. This is not a broken family, and don't let anybody ever say that name. Our family is perfect exactly how it is. It's we get more people. We have more people to love us.
Exactly.
And so isn't that a great opportunity? And so I try to look at it that way, and a person is never broken. We may have lost our way here or there, but we are always whole if we want to choose whole.
Yeah.
So
tapping back into that and recognizing it. Yeah.
So I moved back after being down there a year. Our house had been up for sale and under contract 3 different times. When I could see in the fall, we moved in August. I came back the following August. By fall, I knew things were not going to end well, and took it off the market. But it was really pretty cool how the universe is taking care of me over and over again. And when that fell through, that was meant for me. That house was waiting for me. And so to come back with my kids, Jeremy stayed in California for another year. He's now back in the valley, but to come back by myself and with my kids was really powerful. It's like my house was this great big hug, and and it just received me, and it said,
it's like an old lost friend. There it is.
And the energy between those walls is beautiful, and it's always been there for me and my family. So I feel very blessed, very lucky. So I came back and then needed a career, and I started into Create Bliss, and I'm like, you know what, I've always wanted to do this. Always. I've wanted an art studio. And it kind of took getting divorced and needing a career that could now pay some bills to really put me into that spot. I finished this beautiful space in my basement, and it's magical. I mean, you walk in and the energy in there it's elevated, and it is healing, and the families that show up, and
I can imagine.
So I went back to the public school. I've taught in a million ways and volunteered in a million ways. I've taught. Last year I was in the middle school for just part-time, trying to get through the last year of that cancer, but needing to pay my bills in some way. I mean, it's hard.
Right.
It's been an interesting.
I can imagine.
It's not been easy.
Right.
But I've always been supported though too.
Sure.
And my family's been amazing, and boy, my parents have not let go of me. They have gripped me so tightly.
That's awesome.
So I'm kind of off track. Anyway, I
good.
started the Create Bliss soon after coming back. I finished that room and started out with a plan, and then it started rolling and started happening, and I had quit the public school, and then I was diagnosed in November 9th of 2017. I'll never forget that day.
Yeah,
and
I can imagine.
It was a pretty aggressive cancer, and it had moved into my lymph nodes, and it was a triple positive, HER2, estrogen and progesterone. HER2 is really fascinating. Maybe 14 or 15 years ago, if you were diagnosed with HER2, you would most likely die. It's really fast growing and very aggressive. And this incredible doctor who they've even made a movie about, and I've studied, created, instead of a chemo, it's an antibody, and it's delivered as an infusion like chemo, but it attaches to the HER2 cells and it stops them in their tracks. So,
okay.
And it's got its side effects for sure, but to have that Herceptin, it's called, on board, it saved my life. It's just incredible. So it's
amazing.
Though there were side effects to all of it, so grateful to live in this time with this medicine and the knowledge we have, and the most brilliant team of doctors showed up perfectly, and doctors that they're 3 months out, but they'll see you Monday. I mean, it was just crazy how it all showed up. So the team of doctors was just, just inspired, just beautiful. They've become dear friends.
I'm sure, yeah.
And so that was November 2017. I tried to teach a little bit through the chemo. As soon as I found out I had the HER2, my surgeon, who was ready to do the double mastectomy, it's interesting, as soon as you're diagnosed, everybody wants you right now, right this second. And the oncologist wants to start chemo, and the surgeon wants to start, the double mastectomy, and the radiation oncologist. Everybody is ready for you.
Yeah, right.
So
you're like, how do I?
Yeah. So we had to navigate, and everybody's
Yeah.
got to just take their time of here. And we were scheduled for the double mastectomy soon, quick. And then a week after diagnosis, they said, she called me. I'll never forget. I was driving to pick up Gavin or something, and Teresa Reading, beautiful, beautiful breast surgeon, just amazing. She called me and said, "Hey, Jill, I just got these results, and you're HER2 positive, and you're going to need to start chemo first. We need to hit this systemically before we do the surgery, and we're going to see if we can shrink it with chemo first, and then I'll see you. So you need to get an oncologist." I'm like, I don't have again, where do we start? So.
Well, I would imagine this feels like a whirlwind. You're going through. What were you emotionally like? I mean, were you like, did you even have time to even think of how the gravity of this, or were you so busy trying to get this going?
You just stay in that present moment, right?
Yeah.
You take every step and every breath that you need. And I wasn't surprised I had breast cancer. I actually knew I did. I had a lump 6 months before. Insurance wouldn't cover for another mammogram.
Okay.
They said you need to go to a doctor to say. And I went to that doctor, and everybody wanted to wait. But I, in my heart, knew that this was different. It wasn't like the previous cysts that I'd had. I've had a mammogram every year for the last 15 years. I've had kind of lumpy breasts. And so I knew, and I think we always know. I think we need to trust our bodies. They speak to you, and they always know. And so I wasn't surprised at all, to be honest. I went in for my mammogram. They said, we need to do an ultrasound. Then the radiologist there said, I need you back in an hour to do a biopsy. This looks serious. And I said, hey, talk to me straight.
Yeah, just shoot it to me
I
straight.
said to her, do I have cancer? And she said, I can't tell you that until I do a biopsy. And I said, you see this before. And I knew. Yeah. And she knew. And so that hour in between, I had to meet with a group of, it's so complicated. But yeah, they gave me a pamphlet of here's some great breast surgeons. And went back to that radiation or the radiologist and said, who should I pick as a surgeon? She's like, well, they're all great. I'm not at liberty to tell you who to go to. I said, with tears in my eyes, and I looked her in the eye and I said, you're a human and I'm a human, and talk to me like that. And what if your daughter was on this table? Who would you, don't tell me what surgeon to go to, but if your daughter was on this table, who would you send her to? She said, Teresa Reading. I said, bingo. And I called, they said, oh, she's 3 months out. And I said, well, actually, and I saw her Monday. I mean, it's cool how it rolled in. And so she called me that next week and said, it's HER2 positive. We need to find a radiation or your oncologist. Again, I had some different arrows pointing to this Dr. Litton, brilliant, beautiful, amazing soul, dear friend.
Yeah.
And again, they can't see me, but he saw me Monday, and literally we had a meeting about what this cancer looks like. He was kind of the driver of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I had a port surgically put in on Tuesday, and I had chemo on Wednesday. I mean, that's how quickly
fast,
we moved. Yeah. And I was grateful for that. I'm like, hey, let's do it. I mean, I got to go through it. Yeah. Let's do this. And
what a great attitude, and and really you come across, even me just sitting here with you, very determined. You're very determined in everything that you do. That's like, it's very purposeful.
Sure.
Just like when you talk to that person at the hospital. No, shoot it to me straight.
Yeah.
Just, I can handle it.
Yep.
Truth
always reveals itself. So just speak truth, right?
Let's just say it. Yeah. I love that.
I'm a big
Thanks
believer
for sharing
in that too.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, no, and we were off. I have to share now. This is going to sound a little crazy, and people who know me know I'm a little woo-woo or whatever. So again, I'll speak truth. It's who I am.
That's absolutely.
But I had friends and people show up in perfect timing. And as I was, so my friend Jenny and Rami, that weekend before truly like within 2 weeks, I was in my chemo treatment. It was all just rolling really quickly. And that's with all the tests and scans and genetic testing and blood draws and blah, blah. I mean, it's a whirlwind for sure.
Sure, yeah.
And they whisked me away to Mount Shasta. And this little town, this little hippie town full of crystals that speak to me, and this mountain that's powerful. And I was able to get in to a sweat lodge, and we went and did a sweat lodge, and
very cool.
This shaman who gave me this shaman healing, and powerful. And it was just really cool to set my journey off with that intention. And in the sweat lodge, my intention was just a gentle journey and hold me through this and protect my kids. And you know what? Then you had to put something in the fire. I think they had like tobacco leaves or something. And you threw it into the fire and you gave a release. Like, what are you trying to release?
Sure.
And I asked to release all fear. And I didn't want to be afraid in this.
Yeah.
And up until that point, man, my eyes would open in the middle of the night and I was by myself and I was terrified. I was scared. You hear all these terrible things about chemo and surgery and whatever. And I thought, oh shit, I got to do this. Sorry. I'm sorry. I just said that. Oh shoot.
No, you can swear.
I'm sorry.
You're good. No, you're good.
Here I am. Okay.
No one would have noticed until you brought.
I know. I think
okay.
of those nights, and I was scared. So that weekend before, to laugh, and it reminded me that laughter's got to be a part of this journey. And I had this little mantra I created of love, light, laughter, and life, and I choose those 4 things every day: love, light, laughter, and light. And life, and I need my friends to help me laugh through some of it. And some of it's funny, a lot of it's not funny. But so when I sat in there and was able to give away fear, I really was able to lose the fear. And I wasn't scared anymore. I was okay with it. And I was willing to go through it. And So that was pretty cool. And with that shaman, he never spoke words. It's really like a meditation. I sit on a chair and he's got this huge eagle feather and he's stomping and hitting a drum and you feel it resonate like in your soul, and he's just stomping around. Right. And I'm on this chair in the middle of this amazing, beautiful place, and my eyes are closed, and what rolled through for me was just incredible. And what I could see, I could see layers. And I could see my family really close and all my friends. And then I could see layers of those who had passed, who have been really important in my life, and my grandparents and several people came kind of personally. And then outside of those layers, there was just a sea of people. Like I didn't know them, but it's like it went on to infinity. And I felt this enormous amount of love and support, and I knew that I was loved and supported through the infinities. I really felt that.
Wow.
And I also...
It's amazing.
Okay, I'm talking, this is crazy talk, but here we are, right?
No. Speak your truth.
In the middle of this shaman healing, I have this really amazing, soulful husky dog that passed away 13 years ago. I don't know.
Right.
This great big black Siberian husky with long hair. He was like unlike any husky I'd ever seen or any dog.
Right.
I got him when we lived in California, and I would clear the beaches. People thought it was a wolf, and it was...
People were like, what's this?
And he was so gentle and so kind and so powerful and so soulful. He was honestly the most amazing energy. During my shaman healing, he came and crawled up my back, and he climbed over me in this hug.
Like a...
Wow. Over my back. And he had the brightest blue eyes, and I could see his eyes, and he's like, I got you, my dog. And which animals always speak to me. I'm very connected to animals. So I'm like, of course you do. Of course you're here, Aspen. Wow. Of course you're here. And then his hair, he had this long black hair, but the hair on him that I could feel and see during this healing went on like spikes of light to the universe. It's like God.
Yeah.
And the light went on to infinity. So I was held in this embrace by my dog and my family and all these faces that were so close to me. And boy, that really set me in a space where I could do what I needed to do, because I was held, I was protected, and I was loved in the largest energetic hug. I don't know how else to explain it, but and it comes from strangers, it comes from animals. Animals show up. They have these last few years and afterwards I saw the shaman, and he didn't speak any words through the whole thing. He just was drumming.
He's doing his thing.
Yeah, and all the visualization was coming through me, right? And so he said, after, I didn't have any words.
Right.
And he said, wow, you got yourself a warrior. And I said, did you see my dog? And he said, you think he's a dog. He showed up as a dog in your lifetime. He said, but he's not a dog. He is a giant warrior spirit. He's got you. Whoa. Can you believe I just told you that story? Is very intimate.
That's thanks. I know that's very sacred to you, I'm sure.
It's sacred, and
but thank you.
Yeah, but powerful. And I was held in that hug, and I still feel that.
Yeah.
And, you shared with me, Bonnie was a good friend growing up, your wife, beautiful, beautiful person.
Yes.
And so we had the same circles, and was friends with your younger brother. So we're all connected in such a cool way.
We are, yeah.
So you explained to me that you sat around the table and had talked as a family about my story.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe share that for a minute, because that.
Yeah, well, Bonnie's obviously always looked up to you and always talked highly of you. I knew you from another friend, Devin Coons. We'll give him a little shout out. I met you when you were really young, but we don't. Anyway, so there's this connection there, like you said, it's a really cool connection. And Bonnie, when she heard you were going through this cancer thing, and she was reading stuff you were posting, and my wife loves, my kids will attest, she loves reading these inspirational posts of people who have gone through some tough times, and she's like, man, listen what Jill just put down. You guys need to hear this. And I'll never forget, we do Sunday dinner with the whole family. My kids are growing up and out, but they'll come home on Sunday and we'll do a little Sunday dinner kind of thing. And she had shared some things of what you're going through, and it was just like this, wow, just like, how can Jill feel and think this way going through something so scary and horrific? And so anyway, it was just really inspiring, and we just really connected with your story, and my kids connected with it. And, Bonnie, props to her, because she's always doing this, like, hey, I'm going to read this to you. And she reads it to the family. It's awesome.
Oh, she's always been such a light, such a beautiful soul. Yeah. And you sharing that, you were part of my hug. You were part of that hug, and I didn't know it.
And I don't even realize it on our end either. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But that's how energy works.
Yes.
And that's how love works. And it knows no time or distance or space. You love somebody, they feel it. And so by you sitting and sharing that, that's part of what I was feeling. I've never felt anything like it. And I really would wish it on everybody. I don't wish cancer on anybody, but that idea that we are that loved and supported, it was almost suffocating.
Yeah.
Of what showed up energetically. And that's part of it. So thank you so much for being part of my prayers and part of my story. And people would send a text and say, I prayed for you today, or and I feel that, and it works. So
well, you mentioned before, the coolest thing about cancer is people show up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
People and animals and people who have passed and animals who have passed. And like you said, that experience you've had, and how, and again, I it's just so cool. You're so passionate about connection. I mean, it makes a lot of sense as you're talking. You're like, how powerful all these things were for you in those moments of need, in time of need.
And I'll tell that to my kids. Hey, when things are looking down, open that heart and open your eyes, and the gifts will show up, and they are usually in the form of people. And I mean, I got a text from a friend, Holly Peterson, who I was Facebook friends with, that I don't even know. I don't know how we're Facebook friends. And but she had cancer, and I was in a pretty rough spell. So I started my chemo in November, and it went for 5 months. And by January, I got influenza on top of it. So I had like 35 days where I had a hard time moving. And, and I couldn't. My body could not recover from the influenza because I kept getting nailed with the chemo. And I'd go for a treatment. I'm like, you're not going to do that again, are you? And they're like, well, cancer's a little more serious than your flu, so you'll do it. And then they hooked me up. But I had a night that, they say the dark nights of the soul or whatever, but I really wondered if I would wake up the next day. I was so sick, and I'm just alone. And I thought, how will I take another breath or a step physically? I was so sick. And I get this text at like 2 a.m. through Messenger on Facebook.
Right.
And I didn't share a ton on Facebook. I kind of had to retreat from social media. I just had to put my head down and do my thing.
Yeah.
So, but occasionally it was easier to put out a blanket story or an update and let people know kind of where I was. So she reached out and she said, hey, you're probably about at this point in your chemo, and I just want you to know that it can feel pretty dark right now. And depression can come. And you're going to wonder if you really can keep on with this, if you can really do another treatment. And I just want you to know that you can. And this is normal, and this is real. And I experienced that. I was like, who are you?
Right.
Like, beam in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And
2 a.m,
stayed,
right?
Yeah. And she stayed with me. And I texted back, oh, how did you know? I am struggling. And then I just would ask her questions. And there's something about connecting with somebody who's been through it, that there's this whole new empathy and this whole new compassion of, hey, what'd you do about this? And how, and we met for lunch later and we've become friends. And she is one example of a million of people who just showed up in perfect timing. Through that same month, I was so sick. I went to the doctor and could barely walk. And my sister, who was so cute, she stayed right with me through. She did the cold caps every chemo to try to save my hair.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I lost about half of it, but I saved enough where people didn't look at me like, "Oh, what are you going through?" She was amazing, and she didn't leave my side. She said, "Hey, I've got this discount for Lululemon. Let's go get you a fresh pair of, I don't know, a sweatshirt or whatever." Yeah. And I'm like, "Emily, I can't
You're like,
go to freaking Lululemon."
Right. You're like, that's the last place I want to go.
Yeah. And so anyway, I thought, I'm out and I'm barely out and I'm barely making it. So we walked in and we took a loop around the store and I just crawled right into the dressing room and curled up on the bench and I couldn't move. And she and this cute girl started helping her and she's like, "What is it? Your birthday? You getting a new outfit? Blah, blah, blah." And Emily put her arm around me and said, "This is my sister and she is doing hard things and she's in the middle of chemo and I'm so proud of her that I would like to treat her to a sweatshirt or something." And this girl felt the love between Emily and I.
Yeah.
And she could see in my eyes I wasn't well, but she could see the love and compassion in Emily's, and that was pretty cool. We went to check out,
way cool.
And I don't even know this girl, and she pulls up this cute pair of tights that she said, "Hey, you need a pair of these, and these are on me." I said, "What are you talking about? They're on you." And she started crying and she said, "I feel you today and this was powerful and you've changed my life and inspired me." I wasn't trying to do anything. I was crawling in on a bench. I was just,
Right.
But that day it was Emily and it was her love for me and she felt that and she said, "Thank you." So thank you for inspiring this day and for making me, gratitude. It's all perspective.
For sure.
And she gave me a pair of tights, and the tights were darling, but the connection, wow, wasn't that powerful?
The connection, and I know you talk a lot also about how love heals. I mean, just that act of kindness towards you and how it made you feel.
Oh, it's powerful.
I mean, you can honestly even say that starts to heal the cells in our bodies and our.
Absolutely.
I mean, just that feeling and everything, and so. What a neat experience.
Yeah, over and over. That happened over and over. And I'd go up on the trail. My friend Susie Covey was a dear friend, and we used to run the trail and she slowed it right down to a walk, and when I could, I would get out and walk, and I was slow and I'd have to stop and take breaks, and she was patient with me, but being on the trail was so healing. And I had Hawk show up. And he stayed with me, and he still shows up. He was there just the other day, and to remind me, he would circle around me, and I would look up and say, "Hi, I see you, and I honor you." And you look up the sparrowhawk and the meaning, and it is higher perspective. He's up there, and he sees the higher perspective. And so often we're down here in, the mud and these little pieces of life, and we think how are we going to get through this next little piece? And he's up there and he sees the whole picture and says, "Hey, there's a higher perspective. It's okay. You take another step. You got this. And there's a bigger purpose for you." And so, animals showed up and friends and my own animals just.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's actually, it's I wouldn't change a single thing about my life, and I am so grateful for cancer, to be honest. I'm okay, and it's rearranged some things.
For sure, yeah. Well, and I love that you say that, because I really believe life happens for us, not to us. And even though it was a difficult, dark time for you at times, but as I'm hearing you talk, all the blessings and the things that have come from it, and the connection and the energy and the love that you have felt from so many different things in this beautiful world that we live in.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away.
It's beautiful. And my kids too. I mean, they, I can't get through this without talking about the most amazing individuals. Sarah, Noah, and Gavin are just, and it was hard on them. And it's interesting to get to this point to where, I'm looking healthier and my hair's growing back and I'm back to work. And so I think now they feel safety in that, okay, maybe mom's not going to leave us forever. And
don't have to worry as much anymore. Right.
And so they're feeling more confident with me. And some of the stories from how they were processing are kind of showing up. And again, I don't ever wish pain on anybody or want to cause pain on anybody. And my sickness that was hard for them to watch. And again, towards the end of the chemo, I got really sick, and Gavin it was my youngest, and he had a day off of school or something, and he wanted to go to lunch. And during chemo, I couldn't really eat. Everything turns to metal tasting. You can't eat food. It's weird. I could eat avocado and oranges, but I couldn't eat much. It was it's just a strange thing. And I said, dude, I will take you to lunch. But knowing that's all I got in that day. Sure. So I laid there on the couch and I said, I'll do that. I said, okay, well, if we're going to lunch, then I better go grab a shower and, whatever. And he stood up with me and he hugged me and he said, hey, Mom, you are fighting really hard. And I see you fighting really hard. Wow. And you're not just fighting for your life, but you're doing it for us. And I really need you. So thank you for fighting so hard for me.
Well, that'd just melt your heart, right?
Melt. Oh, he will melt you. And we embraced. And I look at those 3 kids and my parents, there's purpose. I mean, what else is there? And of course exactly. I'm going to do what I need to do. And it's interesting because he's had some hard things too. And so I thought this, I don't even know where to begin on this part, but when you are going through these treatments or hard times, the present moment really is all you got. Yeah. Because if I were to think out a full 5 months of chemo, I couldn't do it. Right. But I could take each treatment one at a time and say, okay, day 1, I know what to expect. And day 2, it's going to get a little harder. And day 5, I'm going to be face down. But by day 7, I might show up again. So I just kind of know what to expect. But I had to take it that, little piece at a time. So I thought, okay, get through chemo. And soon after that, I had my mastectomy. And then came more surgeries and radiation and then more surgeries. It kind of kept going. I think if someone were to have sat me down on day 1 and say, hey, here's what you're going to do and here's what you should expect. Yeah. I don't know that I could have done it. I don't know that
that makes sense.
That would have been hard to take all of that. But each 100%. Piece came in its own time and each piece came in a way where I could just handle that. You talked before about, I'll get back to the piece of Gavin because I want to share that story. It was pretty cool. He's been through some surgeries and they all have, my heavens. We had 7 surgeries this last year. I was so happy to see 2020. Yeah, wow. ACLs and shoulders. Oh my gosh, my stuff. Anyway, you talked about love heals everything. Mm-hmm. There's also a really important part about loving yourself will heal everything too. Yeah. And there's some parts of my body that are easy to not appreciate or to be mad at or whatever. But if you can flip something to gratitude, it really does change everything. And I had a couple of times where my body spoke to me. One, so in that chemo, my hematocrit came down lower and lower with each treatment, and I was never able to fully recover, before I was knocked down again. So I think you start at 45, and by treatment 5, I was at 26 or 7, and that's like your red blood cells, and so the chemo's killing everything, right? Yeah, and so I got to where like I could hardly get to the bathroom without wanting to pass out. I just had no blood, and And my surgeon said, well, I can't do your mastectomy until you're at least at a 35. Well, I went in for my last treatment and I was at a 26, and I'm like, I know I'm going to go down. And the transfusion level was 26 or 25, or maybe I was at a 27. I can't remember the exact numbers now, but I was really close, and I knew I was going to take another hit. And by day 10, I was going to be at a low. So sure enough, I go into the doctor, and I was right there needing a transfusion. And he said, okay, but we're at day 10. Your body can do this. Let's see what your body can do. So he tested my blood every day, and in about 3 or 4 days, it came up 0.2. And to see it moving up versus down, he said, okay, your body's going to do this. We're not going to do a transfusion. So then it was like crucial that my body makes more blood. And I had a couple of weeks, and I met the surgeon, and I had gotten to a 27. And my oncologist said, typically you'll raise your level a point a week. And so my surgeon was like, Jill, you have 3 weeks to go from a 27 to a 35. And I can't do the surgery. It's not safe to do the surgery without that much blood. And I said, I will do it. You just watch. And I would get in my bathtub. Water is a real energy mover for me. And that's why I would meditate and say my prayers and whatever. And I would talk to my heart, and I would talk to my blood, and I would visualize them. And Archangel Raphael pouring into my crown, green healing light, and this little army of blood, just like the troops marching on and making more and making more. And I would visualize that, and I would thank it. Thank you for making so much blood. Oh, I feel you. You're making it. Thank you. And I would think it as if it were happening, and talk to it as if it were happening. And then I already am vegan, and I was juicing every day, and beet juice and celery juice, and I was wheatgrassing, a couple times a day, every single day, whatever I could to build that iron, build that blood. And then these meditations, these intense meditations, and I just spoke to my heart. I held my heart. You got this. And it was taking a pounding. I had my port that goes in through my chest. A tube goes up my neck, and then straight down that tube, dumped right into that vena cava, that big heart. And that's right where that chemo would just dump right into that, and it would take it. And so I just thanked it over and over. And then I had the feeling to open my blinds. And this is like April, and so it's spring. And I have this beautiful hibiscus bush just outside my window. And I look out, and it's trying to push a bud, and there's some green and some growth on this dormant bush of sticks. And another sign, I said, there is growth. There will be growth. And I feel like my cancer was a time to crawl into a cocoon, and I kept saying, I will emerge a butterfly. And you thought you liked me as a caterpillar? Watch out.
Watch out.
So I was in this cocoon,
awesome.
and just like that little bud trying to push out, it just reminded me that I can grow. I can do this. I will grow again. And it did. Day of surgery, I was at a 35.
Wow.
And it usually a point a week. And I went from 27 to 35. And that was my body. Wow. Thank you.
Man.
It's powerful.
I love this. I gotta, if you wouldn't mind, if I can share a quote.
Yeah.
Because what you said reminded me of this quote when you said, I was thanking it before it even happened. And it reminds me of a quote by Neil Donald Walsh, and he says, expressing thankfulness in advance is the way of all masters. So don't wait for a thing to happen and then give thanks. Give thanks before it happens, and watch energy swirl.
Oh, I need that. That is so
And so as you're
beautiful.
saying that,
yes, that's it.
The art of visualization is so powerful. I mean, there's a reason why Olympic athletes use this as part of their training. Because it works. It works. Truly does. So as I'm hearing you say, I mean, I got chills right now as you were sharing that. It's like, it's amazing. And that you were just like, no, I thank you for doing your part.
Yeah.
And you were thanking it before it happened. I don't know. It's just so beautiful.
I love that quote. I love it. I need to write that down.
Yeah.
I had another time, the Herceptin treatments, the one that was targeting HER2, I had 17 infusions. So the chemo, I had 4 drugs that were those first 5 months. And then those stopped. And that was the part that was really wiping out the blood cells. Then the Herceptin that worked as an antibody went on until the next November, so the full year. But it's really hard on your heart. So they would do EKGs every couple months to check my ejection fraction. And at 6 months, halfway to the halfway point of the Herceptin treatments, my ejection fraction of my heart dropped from 60 to 51. And that was a dangerous drop, 9 points. And so my oncologist said, you can't do Herceptin again, because they worry about congenital heart failure too. So I'm like, dang, we want to fight the cancer, but I kind of like my heart too. You know,
kind of like the heart. It needs to be working for me.
So I skipped a treatment and again, I hopped in the bath and I started talking to my heart and I held it and I said, you are doing so much. You're working so hard. You're taking these drugs and thank you. Thank you for healing. Thank you for making blood. Thank you for being so strong. And I held it and I said, thank you for speaking to me. I promise I will listen. I will continue to listen. So you talk to me. The doctors can tell me things and the tests can tell me things, but my body knows all. So I said to my heart, talk to me. I'll listen because now you're speaking up. And so I had this beautiful meditation and I was getting out of the tub and I had this distinct impression again to go back into the water and to put my head under. And I thought, I haven't done that since I was a little girl, right? I mean, how weird.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Blow bubbles and
I
stuff.
Blow some bubbles.
Yeah.
But I was standing there and I had to honor that. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I got back in the tub and I laid my head under and put my ears under. And what did I hear? My heart. It was like it was echoing. And it was just this strong. And of course the tears, I start bawling and it was talking to me. And it said to me, I'm strong. I can do this.
Wow.
And here I am talking. And I just cried and I held my heart and I said, there you are. I hear you. Keep talking.
Oh my goodness.
And my heart
That's
continues
amazing.
to guide me. And that's how it navigates through this journey. And it's always right. And so it kicked back up by the next time and it stayed strong. And I was able to finish the full year of treatment. And I continue to think it's pretty cool how bodies speak. And
so now
but you have to speak to it. You have to love it. You have to
connect with it.
Yeah.
Again, back to your connection and how you love connecting so much and why it means so much to you.
Yeah.
Because what you did there in that moment is you connected with your heart.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
What better?
Yeah. I mean, and like you said, we don't take enough time to do these things.
Yeah.
We need to do these things, man.
Yeah.
It's powerful when we do it.
Yeah.
You know, your story is amazing. You're amazing. Seriously. I want to ask you a question. There's going to be a lot of people listening to this, a lot of people who are struggling with all kinds of different things.
Mm-hmm.
What's maybe some advice you could give someone who's struggling right now that's hearing your story? They're obviously going to be inspired by it, but some advice that they can kind of, maybe find their way or find some, maybe they're in that dark moment, like when that friend reached out to you at 2 a.m. and kind of guided you a little bit. What could you maybe say to them right now that would help them?
I think, one, your body always knows. Love it, honor it. And gratitude. Gratitude changes everything. And that's all just perspective. Gratitude is simply your thoughts and perspective. Gavin had last year. So, okay, I'll share this one more story and you can cut me off whenever you need to. But I had the radiation destroyed my tissue. They had put an implant in and the radiation destroyed the skin and it was not to be a part of my body, which I never wanted it anyway. So again, my body spoke and said, yep, we're done with that. And it tried to we're done. It tried to exit. It wasn't a healthy thing. So I finished radiation in September of 2018. And by January, I could tell things were failing. And so I went to my surgeon, Dr. Hijawi, brilliant, beautiful person. And he said, we got to do a deep flap. And a deep flap is where they cut your belly side to side take a football shape. They cut all the skin, the stuff up at the top. I'd already had the mastectomy, but the skin had to go.
Oh, okay.
And the nipples and everything.
Right.
And so then they literally take my stomach from and transfer that tissue, and then they hook up all of the arteries and vessels, and now I have blood flow. Okay. And I basically, my breasts are my belly. I have belly boobs.
Okay. There you go, folks.
There
belly
you are.
boobs.
I'm giving you all of it. But
yeah.
I was in the hospital almost a week with ultrasounding, wanting to see blood flow. It was like a microvascular surgery where they're hooking up all these little things.
It's amazing.
And amazing.
It is amazing.
Amazing. And so they had to create a new belly button, and
right.
it came in as a heart. Of course it did. I'm like, hello.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I got a heart.
How could it not?
Yeah. So anyway, I did that in March, and it was it was the hardest, obviously, of the surgeries. My son hurt his shoulder in July, had to have a surgery, extremely painful, Gavin. 8 weeks later, his is a 6-month recovery. 8 weeks later, on a whim, picks up a golf club, takes a swing, rips his shoulder back out. He was devastated. We both were. We both just cried like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? This has got to happen again. And so I take him in to the surgeon, and we do an MRI, and I'm waiting for the call to see what's going to happen. And he's at school. He's texting me, Mom, have you heard from the surgeon? Have you heard from the surgeon? And I get the call from the surgeon. I text Gavin back, Bud, it's a full tear again. You've got the same surgery. They're going to do it again. Expect what we did 2 months ago. We're going to do it again. And it's on September 12th, which was I had another follow-up surgery, a phase 2 to that deep flap. So we were both on for that day. And he texted me, Mom, I'm not doing very well. I'm having a complete breakdown. I hopped in my car. I went to the school. He came out. He crawled in my car. He was pale. He was shaking. He was and just freaking out and nauseated. And I said, Gavin, what's your strongest emotion right now? What are you feeling? He said, I am so mad at myself. I said, wow, you're mad at yourself. I said, that's pretty interesting, because when I see somebody hurt, I don't think of anger. I'm not mad at them. I love them. I want to hug them. I have compassion and empathy, and I see you and I love you. I said, but it's got to start with you. What if you didn't have that emotion towards yourself? What if you weren't mad? What if instead you loved yourself? What if you looked with gratitude and compassion on your own body, and you looked at your shoulder and said, I'm sorry, you've got to do this again. This is going to be hard, but I'm going to hold you through it. So what if you gave yourself a great big Gavin hug that everybody loves? Give it to yourself. I said, Gavin, I get it. Because after that deep flap, I looked in the mirror and cried. I was devastated.
I can imagine.
And I looked at my body with disgust. I thought, how can anybody love that? How am I going to love that? I still have scars all over. Wow. And I said, I get it, because I looked at myself and I was mad at my body.
Sure.
And I said, but as soon as I could flip that and say, oh gosh, you've been through a lot. Let me hold you. And I do that often. I hold myself. I say, I got you. What if I said, hey, it took a lot to give up a part of your body for another part. You gave yourself up. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for being willing. And so that word, thank you and love, and to give that to yourself changes everything.
Wow.
And Gavin was able to make a shift. He says, I get it, Mom. I get it. And I'm going to love myself through this. I said, we got each other. And we did. We had surgery on the same day, and we took care of each other back and forth.
Yeah,
and
helped each other through it.
Yeah.
Wow,
so that's what I would, that was the long version.
No,
I'm sorry. I keep throwing in stories.
No, don't ever say sorry. This is exactly what we want to hear and need to hear. Thank you for sharing that. And what a great, for us as parents to be able to relay something so powerful to a struggling kid.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times we don't know what to say, they just, oh, sorry, but to say what you said, man, I just got chills as you say that. That's powerful.
And he got it too. So I was so grateful I had been through some things, because then he had seen that, and now he could do that same thing in his life. And I hope and pray that my kids can take these challenges and hold on to them and have gratitude
for sure
for our family being exactly the way it is, and for Jeremy and for me, and and this part of the journey and cancer, the whole thing. I hope people can pick gratitude because, in that the healing happens too.
That's beautiful, Jill. You're amazing. Thank you for just everything, man. You are a light and an energy. You really are. I wish people would be sitting here with me right now to feel this. But, if someone wanted to reach out to you, learn more about you, ask you questions about your story, they might be going through cancer themselves and they might have a question to help them through it. And obviously, about your school, your Create Bliss Art School. Yeah. What would be the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, I would love to hear from anybody because people showed up for me in such a beautiful way. If I can give back just the slightest a bit, I would. Yeah. So I've got a website that's my art school, Create Bliss Art School, and on that you'll find my email and you'll find my phone and you can send messages through that. So that's probably the best way. All my contact information is under createblissartschool.com. There you go.
There you go.
Come create with me.
Come create.
It's good stuff.
Wow. I honestly could talk to you for 3 or 4 hours and you're amazing. Thanks for being vulnerable. I know you shared some very sacred things today and really, but it's our benefit to hear this. And so thank you for sharing a portion of your life with us and listeners. I mean, wow. Are you kidding me? This is amazing.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Jill. There's a lot of different ways to live your life, and I don't claim to have all the answers by any means. And, religion and spirituality and truths, they're all different for everybody. But, I honor a lot of different ways, and love is always the answer. And so if someone says, what do you believe in? Easy. It's love. It's love. And that it is synonymous with God and source and us. So
I heard once reading out of the book The Purpose-Driven Life, there was a sentence in there that said, God doesn't have love, God is love.
I feel it.
And we're love. And so
they're synonymous.
So when we connect with love by giving it away to ourselves or to someone else, we're connecting with God or our higher power or the universe, that energy. Yeah. So anyway, you're just so insightful and so I just love the way you live your life.
Thank you.
And as I'm listening to your story, it inspires me to want to be better. And I know our listeners are going to feel the same way. So
what an opportunity.
Thank you for taking the time. This is wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for being you. What you're doing is powerful. Change in the world.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, there you go, listeners. There's Jill Kesler and her amazing story. Please reach out to her and, ask her anything. She's obviously very open and she loves to spread love. So, reach out to her for sure. And thank you, listeners, once again for all your support. This is just it just blows my mind. I get to sit across from amazing people to hear their amazing stories. So, love all of you guys. Love you, Jill. Thank you for your time.